but they're the ones who are going to be up next here, going up against Elevate. And this is huge. This is kind of the match that decides whether or not we either go into this, whether we go into tiebreakers or whether or not it's just over here. In fact, let's go ahead and pull up those standings. That way we can take a look and see how it's all shaken down. Right there is where we can see it 3-3, and then if Trifecta win here, they'll have 3-2, and that's what gives us our tie here, totally.
It's going to be very important. And then Elevate also need to kind of commit to their strategy of this triple Guardian and double Hunter. It's been working out for them against Obey Alliance. It didn't work out once they moved away from it, but here in group play, you know, they only lost to Energy, and now is their time to close it out and go to HRX.
And I want to ask you here, Polar Bear Mike, do you feel like Energy kind of showed the blueprint here for going up against this team?
Yeah, I was actually just about to say that because everyone has been banning Guardians whenever Elevate was first picked, and Energy said, no, we're going to take away your Hunter picks in the mid, and then they took that away. DeathPanter had to go to an Anhur. It didn't have nearly the success.
Even though, like, he got the early kills there, they had, like, a early exchange 2v2 pre-level 5, and that's where Anhur really shines before the level 5 fight, just basically utilizing a lot of that passive to his advantage, but DeathPanter not having the same impact as he normally does when he plays the Amusin comp or when he plays the Hou-Yi.
And that's going to be up to Trifecta. How well are they going to be able to run the picks and bans the same way that Energy did? We saw towards the end of that last game that Trifecta were showing some signs of life. They didn't let Space Station completely run away with it, and then they end up dropping again. So can they regroup? Because they're playing these back-to-back. Can they go up against Elevate? How hard is it, PBM, when you're coming off a loss like that?
You kind of just have to reset mentally and forget about it. Similar to the picks and bans, Trifecta has also kind of gotten, exposed or whatever. They won 2 games with Morgan. Hurriwind looked great. It's been banned out both games today.
I mean, PBM has nothing to worry about. He's gone undefeated thus far, right?
That's
so
true.
He doesn't know about that
What's
mentality.
a loss, right? You don't really know. In fact, you all almost went undefeated the whole split, really. So you've really had a whole lot of success. But taking a look here at this matchup, like we said, in particular, Hurriwind on that Morgan is going to be a big impact. So those two mid laners, Hurriwind and DeathPanter, those are going to be the focus here for me going into this last match.
I wouldn't necessarily call either those two players for those teams' weak points, but I definitely feel that they rely heavily on the success of them. If they get off to a good early start, then it seems that Elevate and Trifecta sort of carry the momentum towards the objectives, and the way Energy were able to shut down DeathPanter and the way here in Space Station was able to shut down Hurriwind, I think we're going to see more signs of it here in this last game of the day.
And to sort of, go ahead, Sure. Now, to talk a little bit more about how these standings are going to be breaking out, of course, if Elevate are able to just take the win here, they'll go up to 4 wins, and taking that 4th win, that would be enough for them to just end it right there. We don't have to worry about tiebreakers. It doesn't matter about the hero run that Space Station Gaming have gone on so far. So if you're a Space Station fan at home, if you're Space Station here in this crowd, then you're cheering in this match here for Trifecta to somehow pull it out up against Elevate.
And whether or not you're just a Space Station fan or a Zatman fan, Zatman,
Sure.
whether or not he wins or loses, makes worlds or doesn't make worlds, Zatman always makes worlds in our heart.
Yeah, Zatman always goes to worlds.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's what's going to be at stake here for him in this match. We talked a little bit already about this mid lane matchup between these two teams, but that's not the only matchup that's big. The second matchup that's really important to me is those junglers. Homie FA for not Homie FA rather, but for Trifecta, Cynosure going up against Cherryo. That jungle matchup to me seems like a real big deal here, totally.
The basically traditional Guardian for Cherryo versus the non-traditional Guardian, more of the assassin-like for Cynosure. And the way that Trifecta played in the last game, I think there needs to be a little bit of a switch-up. I don't think they need to switch their picks necessarily, but the play style, because they couldn't really get the ball rolling against Space Station.
Yeah, something that I liked about the mid lane picks and what you were touching on with Hurriwind was that when he was able to play that Morgan, he was able to be more proactive, and that lack of pressure in the mid lane kind of took away from Cynosure a little bit, so he wasn't able to do what he wanted to do. I think if he can get ahead early game and get a little bit of pressure and get steamrolling, I think he'll be in a much better spot versus this triple tank comp.
How did you like the Raijin for Hurriwind, though?
I thought Hurry actually played really, really well. I just think that because Kiki fell behind in the solo side and because Cyno had that early death, I think it really made them have to play on the back foot a little more than they were planning to.
And that's Hurriwind there, mid laner for Trifecta, the one that's on your screens right now, going into a big matchup. Now, yes, they did just come off of a loss, but they're also going into another match here, totally. So they're playing twice back-to-back.
It's also a very similar position to where Hurriwind was last year, considering he was on that Flashpoint roster,
Sure.
and he was 1 game away from clenching his spot into HRX. He was actually playing with, I think it was Homie FA, Benji, Shadow Q, and they just couldn't close it out. I think it was against Orbit GG there. And this is a similar position against a European team here. Maybe it's a struggle that these North American players just can't climb the hump over Europe.
Yeah, and I mean, I think a little bit different with this playing the double header and, you know, where you're at mentally. I think it doesn't matter as much because no matter what happened with Space Station, they have to win this match. The entire day, they had to be Elevate. The difference is either it secured themselves at 4-1 or they would have this tiebreaker scenario that we're talking about.
And you mentioned it just now, PBM, the doubleheader that I've been talking about here for it. It depends on whether or not they get their mindset straight. This could really be something good for them. You know, getting warmed up, already having played here, not having to shift around like our players do sometimes. You know, it could be a little bit of setup. They're already all set up and good to go. So if they get their minds right, if Aror can get that team pumped up going into this one, they can definitely still turn it to their advantage here, PBM.
Yeah, I like it that you mentioned Aurora getting them pumped up because they were really quiet. Normally, Kiki and Aurora, they get in there, they get their team hyped up, they yell. I didn't see much emotion out of them. I think if they just make a couple tweaks, I mean, this team has showed in the games yesterday, they've showed what they can do. And they just need to get back to playing their own style, getting hyped up, let Aurora yell, do all that stuff, and just see what happens.
You know, they played the Bacchus in this last game here, but everyone thought that they would certainly pick this Geb, right? Allow Kiki to engage with the Kumbhakarna and then have that backline peel for Aurora. Is this something that you think that Trifecta switched up here in their last game?
Maybe. I was actually hoping he would pull out the Ares of that game. I mean, Aurora is an insane Ares, and I think that he had a couple gods that, you know, like the Hoyi didn't have CC immunity, Ganesha didn't have CC immunity. We saw Jigs basically, I don't think he died all game. He got to run at them whenever he wanted because he could cancel the belch. It would have been a completely different playstyle for Jigs that game.
And that's what we saw. I think it was Trifecta themselves that banned away a lot of Guardian picks in that pick ban phase. So they kind of limited their options. Usually that works in Aurora's favor, though, because he plays so many off-meta picks. But this time, he ends up falling back to the Bacchus. That just doesn't quite work out for them. So that's what they're going to have to look at. I mean, we've talked about it all weekend long here. These picks and ban phases, totally, those are so important here for these teams.
And a lot of these teams kind of adapt to the meta throughout the LAN. So we've seen them shift outside of, or rather during the online portion, but now this time around there's Elevate going this double Hunter, triple Guardian, and then Space Station not necessarily caring if they go their typical Fafnir Ganesha, because Jigs has been known to run Sylvanas every now and then, raising a lot of question marks in the air when you're trying to ban against them.
And we've been talking here about Aurora this whole time, about how he likes to run, you know, these sort of non-traditional picks and everything. But, I mean, standing across from him is Dardez, and you never know when Dardez is going to run Nox support over there on the side of Elevate. So, I mean, it's kind of a clash of people that don't like to go directly the same way as the rest of the meta.
Yeah, I feel like there will be a bunch of mind games and kind of guess-in games as to what the drafts are going to look like with both teams. Obviously, like you mentioned, Dardez is a very untraditional god pool. Same with Aurora. So I think you might look towards those Hunters being a very high priority, likely being banned out and just trying to deny Elevate kind of the back line of their team comp with the triple Guardian, double Hunter, and then see if Trifecta can find something to kill those tanks.
And the way Snoopy likes to play some of these Hunters, I wouldn't be surprised if they prioritize his Hoyi and then allow him to just, you know, completely pop off in that game.
And we talked about this a little bit before. I mean, we know how big of an impact that Snoopy can have in these games if he's able to get comfortable, if he's able to get to the point where he can go off. But what hurt Trifecta a lot there in that last game, like you said, was Kiki falling so far behind. That's something that he might actually have a better chance up against here. No Numbers isn't always putting out a lot of pressure for Elevate. They kind of let him do his own thing over there in that solo. Do you think this is a chance for Kiki to look a little bit better?
Yeah, I feel like what we had mentioned earlier with the buff control in that last game, if they can kind of turn that around, secure their own buffs for Cynosure and Kiki, and just kind of transition a stable game, it doesn't have to be, they don't have to even be winning, but just a game that's in their control where they can take an even fight and take that over to Snoopy. Snoopy is an absolute monster. He's been playing great all weekend, regardless of the circumstances, and I feel like if they just put him in a spot to carry, he'll do it.
And No Numbers and Kiki are in very similar positions where they don't necessarily need to get ahead to make impacts in the game. Against Energy, No Numbers was getting proxy farmed on cooldown almost at the beginning of the game, losing his own blue buff here. And this is the one time where he got dove and then found the 1v2 kill against Scary D.
Yeah, I think that's actually a great point because Kiki has been playing against people like Scary who want to pressure him in lane. This game, not so much. They've shown that Numbers can just play a Guardian, and they might even 1v1 in this lane, maybe no buffs advantage at all. So I think that'll be great for what Kiki likes to do.
But Guardian versus Guardian,
Yeah.
when are we ever going to see anyone get a kill?
Well, I agree. This possibly could be a really good scenario coming out for Kiki here for Trifecta. But either way, we got the picks and bans ready here. Trifecta going up against Elevate. Elevate, if they win, they go to HRX. Trifecta, if they win, they force us into tiebreakers. Where do you think we're going to see these priority picks, Toli?
I think that Trifecta are going to try to get Cynosure in a comfortable spot. Maybe get him the Naja this time around. That's something that Space Station did not allow Cynosure and Trifecta to do. And Elevate probably going to be leaning towards, the Artio, the Kumbhakarna as for their first 2 picks.
Yeah, I think I was harping on this all day yesterday, but if Elevate wins the coin toss and they get that first pick side, they get one of those 3 Guardians guaranteed. They're now on second pick side. This has been the side they've struggled on all week. Trifecta is in a great spot here because now they have the option to kind of ban away those hunters for free, first pick a high-pressure god for themselves, and maybe deny Elevate a little bit of that front line.
That's what Trifecta will have here. And I was going to ask you, do you think they should go with trying to limit Elevate or just play their own game? And right out of the bat, it looks like ban away Kumbhakarna. We don't want to see Cherryo on it.
Yeah, a little bit of both because, like we mentioned with Kiki, they have similar god pools in solo. So, for example, a pick like Xing 10, most teams not really prioritizing it that much. Here, because both teams play, it's going to elevate in the draft. I didn't mean that pun. I'm so sorry.
Oh, no, that was great. That was great.
I really didn't mean that. But yeah, it's going to be picked higher up in the draft because both teams want it. So same with the Hunter picks, right? Snoopy had been playing Hoi AMC. That's what DeathPanter is playing. That's what Jermain would play as well. So all these picks are going to be way more contested.
We did see Elevate go ahead and ban out Hurriwind along with the Naja, so that was something you pointed out early here. Take away Hurriwind, or that Morgan pick away from Hurriwind, and then Trifecta takes the Hui here, Toli.
It's just very obvious of both of these teams' game plans. And look how fast they're going through picks and bans.
Yeah,
Their
not hesitating
strategies,
at all.
no hesitation. They know what they want.
Wow.
Odin already to respond to this Artio, Athena, Zeus to pair up inside the cage.
Are we like speed racing this? What is going on? Holy.
Well, Polar Bear Mike, I think you kind of touched on it earlier. Trifecta knew the whole day that if they were going to make it, they needed to beat Elevate down here at the end. This is a matchup they knew that they were going to have to win. So it looks like they knew what they wanted with this Odin Zeus
Yeah, I mean,
Wombo
we
combo.
didn't even have time to break it down, but I love what they've done. They've taken away the Kumbhakarna. They still have Xing 10 up, but they knew that Elevate has been prioritizing the Artio if they can get it.
Right.
They gave them the 2 Guardians that have been banned away from them for most of the week, and they can't get out of the Odin cage, and they have a Hoi and Zeus with the cage, Toli.
Elevate need a Hunter here because they're going to risk getting too many Hunters banned out. They need Ram here for Jermain and then maybe something else for DeathPanter. I wouldn't lean on the Anhur, but, after I was talking in the background, but Medusa could be another viable option.
To me, what would make sense is I think you just pick the Rama here, and it's a little risky because you can't roll out of the cage, but I feel like you can buy so much time with your ultimate.
Sure.
He is in a bad spot now, though, because like you said, the Anhur didn't perform that well, but now they really have to worry about this Odin. I think Trifecta actually maybe has them exactly where they wanted them. This is a great draft by Trifecta so far.
And this Odin pick necessarily is not dictated for KiKiSoCheeky.
Yeah, I was about to ask who you think that's going to be on.
Where could easily see that in the jungle if they want to lean more towards Hurriwind, try to get some really good jungle encounters. Ullr will be that Hunter selection. We don't necessarily know who it'll go for, but probably Jermain if Trifecta ban out the Ram.
And I feel like Trifecta forced this Ullr pick here with that Odin. They had to try and prioritize someone who might have an easier time getting out of that one. Elevate, though, they go ahead and ban out Hell, but that leaves Trifecta free to ban away the ROM.
Yeah, and I actually forgot about the Ullr here, and something that's even better for Trifecta is because their comp is so good in the mid game when they get to like 10 to 15 minutes, that's where their comp really excels, and Ullr, that's where he shines as well. So if they can get past that stage, if Trifecta gets past that stage, and the Ullr starts to fall off a little bit, they'll be in a great spot.
I think Trifecta really need Geb here to prevent some of these dash taunts from
like
Cherryo. So I think Elevate ban it here or maybe pick it themselves.
I got a question here for you, Toli. We've seen this Athena band all week long, but I don't think Cherryo's actually gotten to play it just yet. If he has, it hasn't been very much. You think he's ready to bring this out and take it to that maximum level?
Absolutely. This is not a goddess that needs much practice, honestly.
Yeah, and I was going to say, the bans I would like to see, I would have preferred the Geb out of Elevate, but I'd ban Nox right here. You have the Athena set up for it. Dardez is insane at it. I know he can't get out of the cage, but he can just ult onto the Zeus and reduce that damage that he's doing inside the cage.
or just completely dissect the teamfight in two with that silence. It just creates so much space control. Nobody wants to get in there, get silence, and just take all that damage.
Do you ever think this Odin ever goes on to Aror? Like, do you think that's why they banned the Ymir?
I think absolutely Aror has been known to play these warrior supports, right? So Aror can kind of go for a fast one here. Go for that blink, level 1, create the havoc, allow Cynosure to still get off maybe a very hyper-aggressive jungler.
And it would make sense for it not to be on Kiki, because the two gods they want to set up with that Odin ring are the Hoi and the Zeus. They're going to be in the duo lane and the mid lane. So Kiki's not really going to be involved in those fights early. It would make sense for it to be on Cynosure or for it to be on Aror.
Nox is banned away, so Dardez won't have that available. Instead, Elevate select Fafnir, a pick that did work for them earlier on that first day. They were able to get some success with it, but it's kind of feeling like Trifecta have figured this pick ban phase out.
So far, so good for them, honestly, because every sort of pick and ban here between these two teams has been shown in the previous games in Super Regionals.
I mean, how crazy is it? Like, Elevate has ran basically the same strategy, a few different variations of it, but even when we like Trifecta's bans a lot and we're like, oh, Rama ban makes sense, Nox ban makes sense, they still have an insane comp. I mean, Fafnir amplifying all of his team's damage. They have so much CC. They have so much damage. It's actually crazy. And the global pressure from Athena, we haven't seen it all week, like you were saying.
Yeah, not at all. But also, keep in mind, Soul Chronos is still open. It's not something Elevate have run, but in a more traditional style with a Fafnir, considering you already have Ullr, wouldn't be a bad idea to run one of those Magical Hunters either.
A Magical Hunter could do well for him as Trifecta continues to think a little bit here more. This is a bit of a shift. They really knew what they wanted in that first phase of these pick bans, but now here with these last two, they're giving it a little more thought, and the Xing Chen still available. They go ahead and pick that one up along with Kumbhakarna.
It's happened.
That is crazy. The Xing Chen makes sense. It moves the Odin over to jungle, especially with the Kumbha locked in. Aurora actually is really good at Kumbha. He hasn't played it in forever. He got buffed before this tournament. It hasn't been picked at all, I don't believe. So that's a really interesting pocket pick for Aurora to pull out.
I think the whole idea here is just to completely disrupt the Artio, just get her out of the team fight, maybe try to look to blow her up as soon as possible. And this last pick from Elevate is do or die here.
Yeah, Elevate, they absolutely need this pick. Now, the stakes aren't quite as high. Elevate would be able to get the clearest path to HRX if they win here, but even if they don't, they still have a chance. And wow, that's big time. Coming back to this same Anhur pick that they struggled with earlier.
I don't like this Anhur pick because Xing Chen from Trifecta is just going to mitigate so much of the in-hand damage for these double hunters. I would love to see more magical damage, but this is Elevate, this is their style, they're sticking to it.
I was going to say, I don't like it at all, but for a different reason entirely, which is all Cyno has to do, assuming he's the one playing Odin, of course, all he has to do is just get a cage, force the leaps out, and then Kiki and Aurora are just going to be such a nuisance. They aren't going to be able to do damage past them because they're all, like, the Anhur specifically is all single target except the ult.
Well, we got the full picks and bans here. Let's go ahead and see. Totally PBM, who you got?
I think we're going to go into a three-way split. I got Trifecta.
I like Trifecta's draft.
Well, there you go. The Desk thinks Trifecta. Tom, Aggro, what do you think?
I think a lot of things. I think that it's a fantastic time to have an excellent game. I think I'm excited to cast with Aggro.
Yeah.
I think it's a nice day outside.
Really? It rained earlier. I don't think it's very nice outside right now.
I don't mind rain. You need some rain to let you appreciate the sunshine. And I think that's exactly where Trifecta is. Had a strugglesome fall split. Now here they are at Super Regionals trying to make their way into Worlds.
And this is the draft to do it with. I think that I love the way that Trifecta went through this picks and bans phase. First picking away that Hu Yi, and that Nox ban was absolutely critical to make sure that Trifecta didn't get hit with the ultimate Elevate combo, which is Cherry's Athena jungle into Dardez's Nox support. This is a really smart picks and bans phase, and I like the way this is going for Trifecta already.
Same time, I like Cherry's Athena jungle into DeathPanter's. I like this too. Here comes the sprint. Set up an ambush here. They're all chasing Cherryo. 5-man strong. Trifecta with the Envy special. Looking for the Athena jungle. Can't catch up. And that's that.
Good pathing there from Cherryo, getting out of danger just by running away from everybody. And now it's a sprint down on the side of Trifecta. Shouldn't be too impactful in the duo lane for Snoopy and Aror. Should have pretty decent clear in this lane anyways. Not sure that the sprint being down is going to affect the way that the clear goes.
Snoopy and Jermain already just trading blows.
Nice body block.
Feeling good about it. And Aror, Mike said it himself, Auror's Kumbhakarna is really, really dope. He just doesn't get a chance to really pull it out that much.
It really is, and this is one of those guys that knows the ins and outs of this character, and it's a great pick into Double Hunter because now whenever they beads away your Mesmerize or get interrupted out of the Mez, their attack speed is going to be slowed whether or not they use Purification Beads. It's great into a Double Hunter comp.
There are very few characters in Smite that have attack speed slows. Cynosure and Aror are playing 2 out of, I think, 3 of them. And Kiki is playing a character that will actually decrease the damage that the Hunters are dealing. This is a fantastic draft against what Elevate have done. And this is what I'm talking about playing around it not by way of bans. You can't ban out all of the Guardians. You can't ban out all the Hunters. You got to get creative, and this is the way to do it.
Now, Cherryo's decision to go for Aegis instead of Phantom here, I don't know about that one. I mean, yes, he's probably going to be the primary target of these Odin cages, but Phantom to get everybody out of that Odin cage when and if they do get caught. Plus, upgraded Phantom is really, really insane. I mean, you get 15% damage mitigation for 5 seconds. I mean, that is old shell, basically, on Phantom. And that does so well against things like Zeus Ult that even if you get out of the cage, you're still getting hit by it, it's going to be tickling you compared to what it normally would be doing. I really feel like Phantom would have been the better pickup here for Cherry.
Hopefully he gets it at level 12 here. I think that the Aegis early on might prove to be a little bit better than the Phantom, at least early on, because you're just focused about yourself. Later on might be a different story. Kiki getting poked out. DeathPanter in the wings could be a problem. Cherryo waiting on the taunt. There's the taunt because he knows his honor is right behind him. First blood. No numbers. Gets 1 number. And it's going to be Elevate on the board.
Just a little bit too ambitious there going for the invade with 2 members right in front of you. I mean, it's 2 Guardians, yes, but Kiki was down below half HP basically. As soon as that invade started, just a little bit too aggressive from Trifecta.
Patience there. Patience. The patience from Cherryo to hold on to the taunt until DeathPanter was in range to actually affect that. Cherryo could have taunted a long time ago, got him in the shield wall, and then watched as they run away with a little bit of HP. But not going to be the case. Left side, a little bit of a dive here for Trifecta. Elevate being very aggressive. No surprise. It's the Bruise Brothers.
I don't think any duo lane has spent as much time on the enemy tower line as Jermain and Dardez have so far this weekend. I mean, they got Ataraxia's tower before, 4 minutes or something like that in the duo lane. These guys, not many duo lanes like to stick together and just push it out consistently in the early game, but Elevate has. Now, Jermain has not been able to get huge leads off of these pushes underneath the tower, and that's why a lot of teams aren't doing things like that right now in the meta. It's more impactful a lot of times to have your support rotating around, making sure that you can pick up fire elementals and oracles and mid camps, those neutral objectives that can really make a difference for your mid laner and jungler when it comes to their farm. But overall, I mean, if this is how Elevate get into their comfort zone in a game, and that's by pushing Snoopy underneath the tower, then you can't really fault them.
Exactly. That's really it. I have preached pretty much my entire commentary career that playing your game is more important than playing the quote-unquote meta. And as long as you're able to find that balance, I mean, if your game is Bacchus or a middle lane, we probably have to have a talk. But there's a happy medium between just like playing what everybody says you should play versus playing what you're comfortable with, whether that's God's selection or the way you play around the map. And Elevate's identified what is Elevate's game style. And I mean, they're extremely successful because of it.
I mean, look at what their set was against Obey, where they move away from their play style and get stomped 2 games in a row, basically.
And then they moved to the meta.
Exactly. They went more towards the meta. They got crushed. They come down into the group stages. They go back to their own style. And now they're going back to crushing others.
Nobody got crushed. They played Scylla miserably.
Well, I mean, game 5 they got crushed.
Sure. Did you choose that on purpose?
No, I didn't.
Crush?
But that was good.
I set you up there, man. You're supposed to say yes.
Yeah, I'm actually a genius.
I got you, man. You are so smart.
Oh, I know.
Oh, man. Such incredible stuff. Across the way, Trifecta, also a team that's identified really what makes them tick versus others. The Kumbhakarna stuff, not a pick that other teams are going to go for, and having players like Kiki and Aror on your squad, you're going to play weird stuff. And one of the things I actually applaud Trifecta for is they started a little bit too far in their own backyard. And they've come closer to the meta. As I said, that happy medium is very important. Too weird, too normal, never going to be good.
And this is the right balance in my mind in this draft. Now, with this draft, it's very important that Cyno gets Hurriwind off to a good start. And the starts between the Zeus and the Anhur pretty much the exact same. No difference in their net worth or their XP quite yet. But Cyno's got that blink cage available and not going to take long to bring down no numbers with that. And now Cherryo is going to be a little bit harder because he can immediately start channeling that ultimate. But that should be the target, I think.
DeathPanter going to provide a lot of damage. Nice jump on the read. DeathPanter picks up Cynosure. 1-0-1 for the mid lane on her. And I'm very excited about this, Ryan. Because people, even on the desk, they said, look, the Anhur the Anhur looked bad before. Why are they going back to it? I don't think the Anhur necessarily looked bad. I think Elevate looked bad, and Anhur was just a part of that.
I mean, that was impressive from DeathPanter. I mean, you get to see how much trust this team has in one another. I mean, that is a taunt that Cherry is calling out because DeathPanter starts ulting when he can't even see someone else through the wall to make sure that he can get there and follow up with the rest of the damage. That looked like a pretty comfortable Anhur player to me.
That's what I'm saying. That you don't pick Anhur as a character like the Ullr that you don't just go, you know what, we'll give it a shot. If you pick the Medusa, maybe it's your first time. She's kind of, if you're an SPL level player, you can probably play Medusa and just make it work. Anhur's a dude that you got to practice. He's definitely scrimmed with this, and you know, like I said, I don't think we got the full serving of Anhur when they got stomped a couple of matches ago. This time around, we're getting a better look at it. 2 kills already, and DeathPanter are part of both.
And that's kind of the pick that you think Trifecta wanted DeathPanter to go back to, with banning the AMC, first picking the Hu Yi, banning away the Rom. I mean, those are characters that you want to put him on.
Well, the rings could isolate no numbers. Cynosure and Trifecta making their first aggressive maneuver. Anhur gonna hurt out Hurriwind down to half HP.
That
no
heal.
numbers gets a huge heal and then turns around and deals it on back. Knock up onto Kiki. DeathPanter, 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 DeathPanter. 2 kills for the mid lane hunter. 2 kills for the solo Artio. Double dosage, double dealing, and Trifecta down 0-6.
Man, what a huge heal there for no numbers. That energy surge onto 3 different members of Trifecta all grouped. And that's the ideal scenario, right? It's the Artio that gets caged in. Hurriwind gets to drop the ultimate. But what does the rest of Elevate do?
Oh, Jermain.
They look to try and force Hurriwind out and put good damage onto him.
Jermain's got help in the
Dardez
wings.
there?
Over the wind. Dardez is over there.
Oh.
But Snoopy, so damn dirty. Somebody clean up on aisle 7.
The reaches! He got all 3 in a row. Cherryo's able to do it from a distance with the Athena jungle.
One more. There it is. Oh, we can't find it. Body blocks out of Aror. There it isn't. And Hurriwind making the rotation. Oh, man, the 1-for-1. Dardez looking hot. Aror going to get taunted into the double shield wall. Jermain finishes what should have been over 30 seconds ago. Did Cherryo just taunt him?
Oh, yeah. Cherryo's letting him know. He's still taunting him.
Oh, he's feeling himself all the way to Lennox Square right now. Cherryo out of his mind. His team makes the aggressive plays and crushes people. His team makes the counter play and crushes people. Then his team makes the chase down play and crushes people after Snoopy gets himself on the highlight reel.
Man, Snoopy getting out there would have been really big for Trifecta because they need something in some lane because every other lane is now basically lost after that 4-for-0 on the right-hand side. I mean, Hurriwind's down nearly 3 levels. He's down about 2.5. KiKi's down about 1.5 levels to no numbers. Cherryo's up on Cynosure. So Snoopy getting that kill. I have no idea why Dardez was there, knowing that Snoopy's going to jump over that wall.
That's the play.
What on earth was he doing?
Waiting for Snoopy to jump over the wall.
But that's what you can expect for Elevate, specifically out of that duo lane. It ends up working out really, really well at first until Snoopy just puts Dardez on the highlight reel with a double bounce. Really good plays, and then Cherryo using all 3 abilities just to get the reach procs to throw him at Snoopy from a distance. That was really well executed by Elevate.
See, that Cherryo play, that's the type of stuff that goes on my highlight reel because that's the type of stuff, deep understanding of the character. Cherryo's played this god 27,000 times. You can tell right there. Just Elevate. Here's the thing. this composition, a lot of times, I don't want to say cheese, but what happens is people have questioned if Elevate are winning off of their picks alone. Could you just sort of wait till 45 minutes and nobody can kill you because you're 30 tanks and a hunter, and you sort of win out? Elevate here are just playing better than Fecta.
They certainly are, and it's just a couple things going a little bit wrong for Trifecta. In really, when they go back and watch this game, whether they win or lose, they're going to watch that engagement on the right-hand side where No Numbers gets a huge heal, and they tried to burst him down, invest everything in the Artio, and it doesn't end up working out. And they're going to say, yeah, that was that was probably a mistake, and we shouldn't have done that in that manner, because look at how far ahead it's put DeathPanter ahead in the mid lane specifically. As I mentioned, getting Hurriwind off to a great start is really important in this match for Trifecta, because that is where all of their damage is coming from until Snoopy can join the fights.
Jermain in a bad spot. Stunned out by Snoopy, getting help from Cherryo as he lands on the ground. Big old Goomba stomp. Jermain jumps right into the Suns. Aurora on the chase. Beads is good, but Aurora right there in the uppercut. That'll do it. Jermain falls down. Cherryo stuck in the rain.
Ooh.
Not going to kill him just yet. Jump for jump. Sino goes right. DeathPanter goes down. And everybody's safe after a hot blink, because No Numbers makes the rotation all the way from solo lane.
Kiki just a little bit behind, but that's what you expect from a Guardian like Artio. Is going to outclear the Xing Chen, especially with the lead that No Numbers has gotten already in this one. He's already picked up that Stone of Gaia, which has really just infested the solo lane builds. It's been everywhere among these solo laners. Here, second item against the Xing Chen, where you're not really worried about taking too much damage and dying from him. So it's more about that sustain, that 400 HP, and the passive works well against the Xing Chen, meaning that whenever he uses that second ability, you're going to get a big burst of heal out of nowhere.
I'm glad you brought up itemization, because I think itemization is actually a big part of what has hurt Trifecta here, looking at the middle lane. Anhur is going to be an early game character, early to mid game. He's going to want to fight you early and often because of the way his passive works, etc., etc. Zeus, the opposite. Zeus build path makes him even later. So when we saw DeathPanter beating everybody up, Zeus was like, I've got 18 stacks on my Warlock Sash.
I guess, but Hurriwind, by the time that engagement happened on the right-hand side, Hurry already had a good amount of Warlock Sash stacks. He was already working towards his boots. They weren't completed quite yet, and the penetration from the pen boots certainly would have helped bring down No Numbers in that situation. But understanding that he's going to be the primary focus in trying to get through the early game, now it's going to take at least until Chin size until these hunters can really burst him.
Gold Fury gets bursted. Elevate. Just continuing, just rocket ship up north. What is this, 5,000 gold lead at 13 minutes?
And Dardez having a little party in the mid lane with the Dragon's Breath. And he looks like he's if you went by just his player cams, you would think he was having no fun at all.
Look at him.
Is he asleep?
He's like, yep.
Here we are again, about to qualify for Worlds. No, that's Auror who's yawning.
I knew I knew you were going to do that, and I was hoping you. And now you're making my face. I wish you. Well, you're a great caster, Aggro. Now you're doing the totally.
Hey, thanks, Tom.
Elevate though, absolutely, just crushing it, and this is refreshing. I said I said this about Rival when they beat Dignitas. They beat Dignitas 3-0. On day number 2, day number 1 for the European matches. And they beat them in 3 separate ways. And I think that's very important to sort of show your portfolio. What can we do? We can beat from ahead, we can beat from behind, we can beat fast, we can beat slow. And Elevate, their portfolio has just been we wait until 35 minutes when you can't kill us and we crush it. Now Elevate are coming out of the gate swinging, playing similar composition but different play style. The same composition, but a different play style. And honestly, it's just fun to watch.
It's been impressive, and now Cherryo uses his ultimate to come over and support Jermain, making sure that he can get this tier 1 tower in the duo lane. Jermain definitely has been the fastest tower killer for my money so far here at Super Regionals.
Jermain with the hotness of the axe. And Snoopy thought he had the 1v1, but Cherryo comes out of nowhere, brings Snoopy down to about quarter. There's Aurora as well, trying to zone players out. And Cherryo making moves here. Cherryo is lauded as one of the better underground players for a long time, and I don't think we really got to see it. This game, however, Cherryo is showing us why everybody likes Cherryo.
I'll tell you what, a lot of, jungler is one of those positions. We always talk about the personalities of different roles in Smite where ADCs are just kind of there to shoot stuff and don't really think about the game. Supports just do nothing but think about the game. Junglers are the ego of the team because so much of the game revolves around them. And junglers do not like to respect other junglers a lot of the time.
Fair.
I don't think anyone universally loves another jungler as much as every jungler loves Cherryo.
Yes, I've noticed that as well. You talk to any of the pros, and they're just like, man, Cherryo, why doesn't he win? He's so good, and they're always impressed by him.
Yeah, it's fun. It's always the same role too that stands out to me. Because, mid laners will look at junglers and be like, yeah, that guy destroys me on a regular basis. But the jungler's like, no, it's just because you suck.
Well, right now, Kiki, not having a good day. Cherryo misses the taunt, and the ultimate out of Kiki is really more defensive. Unfortunately for him, Elevate wasn't as close to him as he thought. And the Portal Demon, well, it once was there, and now it's in the pocket of Elevate, 100 gold per player, plus the old Portal, and Elevate just continuing to jettison everything out.
I like that the Elevate's already starting to group up because usually with a triple Guardian, double Hunter composition, you are holding on for dear life until 28 to 29 minutes, and then you're saying, okay, now we get to play the game. Elevate's been playing for a while now, and they've had a lead, and when you can use those cheap Hunter items to kind of push yourself up and over what the other team can handle at this stage, your Guardians are still tanky because the other team doesn't have enough damage to punch through them quite yet, and your Hunters are doing more damage than anyone else is ready for, specifically in the mid lane for DeathPanter, who's already nearly finished with an Odysseus bow as well. So this can really work out nicely for Elevate if they continue to group.
Dardez here surrounded by two, looking like he's
Bored.
totally fine.
Out of his mind.
Meanwhile, Kiki's here. Auror's going to save with a nice little yawn. Kiki jumps away. The entirety of Elevate looking to dive this tier 1 tower. Nice pillar coming out from the Anhur. Kiki's still the target. There's damage as Auror hits the uppercut. The taunt onto Kiki. Damage still alive. DeathPanter going to hit about 70% of those spears, but 100% of the tier 1 down.
But where's the rest of Trifecta? I mean, that was an opportunity to get something else on the map. Push down that left-hand side.
Yeah.
Get the mid-tier 1. I mean, that was a big commit for Elevate that didn't get a lot.
Oh, Trifecta. Lose the speed just one shot. And not able to, oh no, Auror's going to be able to pick it up. Whoops.
He got it.
There you go.
Speed Kumba is #1 support ganker.
Speed Kumbhakarna?
No. Just say Kumbhakarna with speed buff.
But I mean, I don't know. I like talking about Speedback. You know?
I don't.
Well, Speedback goes really fast. He's so back with speed. You know? And you can talk about like speed Fafnir. Gold Fury being attacked by Elevate right here. Half HP already for the red squad. Auror getting taunted in. Ton of damage. And locked in will be Cynosure as he drops the ring, trying to save his support, which he does so successfully. Cherryo takes a little bit of damage, but nothing to be too concerned about, I think.
Cherry should have taunt up soon. There it is on the Hurriwind, who holds both of his relics until the very end,
pillar.
Where he uses his purification beads a little bit late. Now, Hurry held on to his Lightning Storm ultimate, even through that cage from Cynosure, relying on Snoopy to do the majority of the AoE damage, and that did chase out the shell from Dardez, however, did not do enough to get the Phantom away from no numbers.
Same time, Trifecta get what could be their first win of the game. They stop the Gold Fury that time. They've got to do it again now, half HP. And Cherryo, the only one that has used the ultimate on the side of Elevate. The Egyptian jungler grabs 2 with the taunt. Aror stuck, has to get out, and he does so successfully. Kiki drops an ultimate of his own. There's the jump in from Dardez. There's the kill from DeathPanter. Snoopy activates the Aegis, but it's all gone. Damage coming out of no numbers. Damage coming out of Dardez. Damage coming out from Cherryo, and DeathPanter turns and looks at the Gold Fury. He knows his job, and he's going right to the deposit.
Cyno needs to be a little bit careful, but it's actually the rest that everyone's looking at because no numbers in the middle of 3, and now the rest of Elevate has come up to support him.
He's totally fine. He's actually chasing Auror under the tower, can't find the kill, but Cherryo gets Snoopy. The rest of Elevate not willing to chase all the way to the Phoenix. Well, Dardez might be on a different page. Literally chasing all the way to the Phoenix.
He's bored here too.
I love, Ryan, I love this team.
They're fun to watch.
Elevate has like quickly become one of my favorite teams to watch. Just the understanding of their own strategy, the idea of still maintaining enough normalcy to play regular Smite that we're not seeing completely bat nuts things happen. And then the guys are just really, really great.
Cherryo with a quick blink to get away from Cynosure, just to make sure that he doesn't have to expend his ultimate in order to get out of danger from that cage. I loved, honestly, going back to that fight around the Gold Fury, that went pretty well for Trifecta, all things considering.
Yeah.
Kiki goes in there and gets beads from both DeathPanter and Jermain with his ultimate, but he ends up dying for it. Problem is, there's not a lot else that you have to purify away. I mean, yeah, we're talking Auror's Mez so that he doesn't set up for his ult or the root or something like that, but without the rest of the damage there, Jermain and DeathPanter aren't under immediate danger. Hurriwind's ultimate was phenomenal that fight, by the way, because otherwise Snoopy dies, Aror dies earlier. There was a lot of trouble waiting for Snoopy in particular, but Hurriwind did such a good job of creating a zone to keep the hunters away from him.
Dardez gets surrounded by 5 players.
He
raises an eyebrow.
Did he actually?
He raised an eyebrow.
Wow. I think it's kind of like that's like a report that actually has to happen every time he does that.
Aror gets taunted into minor damage, just barely taking a little blip there. On the other hand, no numbers, losing about 15%. Cherryo also taking a little bit of a chunk. Here comes Cynosure. Damage from DeathPanter on the left-hand side. Ring dropped by Cyno. And no numbers in a little bit of trouble, but not too big of a deal. Aror, on the other hand, in a lot of trouble. DeathPanter from all the way downtown finds the ultimate, puts him in the passive, and Jermain puts him to sleep. Kiki on the left-hand side. DeathPanter with another knockup, staying out of range perfectly.
Nice, Mad.
Meditation going to keep Kiki alive, but DeathPanter has chased him out. The rest of Trifecta also out of the conversation. Elevate, slinking back in the jungle towards that portal demon.
That's 2 fights in a row now where no numbers has a cage happen either to him or around him.
He can do this. He can do this. Oh, he can absolutely do this, right? One more.
Ooh, that extra damage mitigation from the Furious Roar. Still not enough. That time, Cherryo's going to get it. Meanwhile, the rest of Elevate, they get the Fire Giant. You just can't leave 2 hunters alone with a Fafnir and expect your objective to stand.
Cherryo has the ultimate. If he gets in too much trouble, he's just going to ult out.
Still got Aegis. Wants to hold on to the ultimate, use the Aegis instead. A little bit more risky this way, but
how tricky.
Heading back towards the rest of the team because no numbers is here to support him.
He's still taking the fight. He actually was baiting the Trifecta members because he's got teammates in the wings. Cherryo, life ticking up because of that Fire Giant buff. And he's totally fine. Just taunting the opposition. Elevate. Just woof.
I'll tell you what, man.
What?
They have earned their spot.
Yes.
They certainly have. And they played Obey in a really great 5-game set. They played every single team here so far really, really well. Energy was able to figure them out a little bit, but that seemed like it may have even just been an off game for DeathPanter on this Anhur, and the rest of the team didn't look quite as strong either. There's clearly still a lot of life in this team.
Where did Kiki's life bar just go? Just destroy. DeathPanter ults him and he's got to get out of there. Brought down to 10%. Mid Phoenix the target.
Look, when everyone's building Stone of Gaia, what do you want on your team? A bunch of chin size. That's exactly what Elevate has. 2 sets of chin size between Jermain and DeathPanter. And now, as soon as someone gets taunted, you're doing extra damage with each auto. It just keeps escalating and escalating between 2 different hunters that are hitting you. It's really, really hard to deal with, even for someone that should be as tanky as a Xing Chen.
This is, I mean, they've earned their way to Worlds. They've earned their way to, I think, a lot of people's hearts. You know, this weekend was rough for Dignitas fans, and I'm happy Cynosure tries to fight back into it, looking for the jump on 2. Now he locks 2 in, but I don't think he wants to do that. Jermain just turn and burn. Jermain and DeathPanter, the 2 hunters, turn and collect. 1 will fall. Dardez, however, gets the answer back. DeathPanter barely alive, but alive is all that matters. Kiki turns around, gets stunned out. DeathPanter gets knocked up, still fighting with it. Heal, banana. And DeathPanter gonna turn and still walk away clean. Dardez, number 2 in the game, number 2 in that engagement. And that's how a support plays.
Really,
you protect your teammates.
Really great peel there from Elevate. You got to be able to have multiple people peel for you if you've got 3 Guardians on the map at any given time. That's exactly what happens there for Elevate.
Man.
Now Cherryo gets to back, heal up, buy some items, and ult back in.
This is just, oh man, this is just good Smite to watch.
Wow, Cherry's actually like playing Assault right now. He's got a health chalice and a mana chalice. That's like the Assault strat.
His hard. Sure. He's just out there trying to.
Because it gives you lots of regen, and you don't have to spend extra gold every time you die.
Why don't you just back?
You can't back. It's assault, Tom.
You can't back an assault?
No, it's also all random.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, you gotta. There's a whole different meta for the assault.
I don't believe you.
Let's play assault tonight.
I don't believe in assault. Right now, 25 minutes on the clock. Elevate with 5 times the amount of kills. This Trifecta has 15-3. And the gold, well, it's almost 20K.
And good luck getting back into this as Trifecta, because they have no damage that can really compete with what Elevate are pumping out. I mean, Hurriwind was forced to go into a Spirit's Row because of how much CC Elevate has. He's not going to be able to put out enough damage to one-shot one of these tanks. And that's what you have to do against this composition. You have to kill a tank first, because the Hunters are never putting themselves in a position where they can die before a tank will. So you need some tank killers on your roster. Zeus, not awful at that, but not great either. Hu-Yi is great at that, but Snoopy hasn't been in a position to do it, really.
Cynosure getting aggressive, and he's going to get punished for it. Jumping all the way out. Right side Phoenix to target. Nice pancake flip coming out from Kiki. Grabbing 3 separate players, and now one with the ultimate, but Dardez collects his third as he puts Snoopy back in the doghouse. 3 players from Elevate relatively low. Aror in the back end. That's not the guy you want behind enemy lines. And DeathPanter claims number 5. 5.
Ooh. Hurry puts out good damage right before he falls. DeathPanter actually able to survive there. I don't know if Hurry got his detonate off, but the Titan might just fall here to the minions.
Yeah, troublesome spot as Cherryo takes down Kiki. Only 1 player remains. It's Cynosure. Can the lonely Odin protect the Titan?
I don't think so. I mean, 4 members here. 3 are pretty healthy still. It's Cynosure with Trifecta's hopes on the line, but Elevate looks like they might be going to Worlds.
DeathPanter's playing it safe. No, just kidding. DeathPanter's going nuts. 7-0-10. Those of you who thought you could fix the situation by putting DeathPanter on Anhur, homie carried the game.
He did great. Congratulations to Elevate. They earned a spot at HRX, and Cherryo's a guy who has so much passion for this game. He's been chasing the ability to go to Worlds for so long. You got to be happy for a guy that cares that much about how he and his team are performing.
Cherryo and Dazer, both combined, I think, really are the guys that really are the passion of that team. Yeah. Jermain and Dardez have a lot of fun, and they absolutely care, but the lifeblood, the beating heart of that squad is Cherryo, and with the recent addition, the split, Dazer. These guys absolutely very excited. And you know what? I think there's something to be said about having that dark horse go to Worlds. This is your underdog, and this is your reasonable, reliable, and dependable underdog.
And it's 4 European teams going to Worlds, only 2 from North America. But fret not, NA fans. That's how it was last season, but reversed. It was 4 NA teams, 2 EU, and the finals were 2 EU teams. The only 2 that went. So that means that we got an all-NA final coming, right? That's like the theory, if you... Yeah.
I don't get your math.
No, because it's like the exact same thing, except you switch it. That's like the whole point.
It was a fantastic time, thank you. And this one goes to Elevate. We'll see him at Worlds.
To lower
Welcome
my
back
chair.
here to the desk. I am Finch. We got here with me Ron, Jobbert, Anatoly, and Elevate are the second team out of the group stage to make it to HRX. And Toly, that game felt to me like a bit of redemption for DeathPanter there on that Anhur.
Oh, absolutely. You know, he played pretty well in the beginning of his last Anhur game, but this time around, second time was a little bit better here. He had the front line necessary, and a lot of the action that was brought to him safely in the solo lane. Early game, Cynosure with this Odin pick wanted to force some engagements, but it wasn't working out for Trifecta.
And it looked like DeathPanter didn't really care that he had a bad game. And you want to see that in your players. You want to have them have a god that they can say, I'll try this. And then literally the first time he plays it does not go well at all. And then he goes, I'll do it again. And then slays.
And that's big time because going into this game, this is the matchup where if they don't win this one, they go into tiebreakers. They got to slug it out with Trifecta and Space Station. And DeathPanter says, give me Anhur. And he played lights out on it.
And also, last picking the Anhur yet again. There were so many options, but taken away from him, right? The Hou-Yi was first pick. Musinkob was banned away. Trifecta came in with a game plan. The first 5 to 6 picks and bans were just zooming. Everything was executed the way both of these teams wanted. But then secondary ban phase started to slow down a little bit. Helya Mir off the table from Elevate, while Trifecta wanted to take away the Rom and the Nox. Good for them, Elevate, as they held on to their solo lane side jungle buff control, not allowing any early game momentum from Trifecta.
And exactly, you have that Odin who you want that early game momentum. And with Xing 10, you are okay with not having that. So it was a weird mix for Trifecta, having that Odin where you want to force the objectives and you want to push, but having Xing 10, you don't really necessarily know what's going to happen with your lane. You might die and get behind, but eventually you'll be tanky.
And go ahead.
Yeah,
Sure,
normally
totally,
when there's 2 Guardians in the solo lane, no numbers playing, the Artio, Xing Chen on Kiki, you don't look for team fights. You don't really look for invades. Just kind of let those 2 lanes go, passively farm. Focus more on DeathPanter or maybe Jermain, but that wasn't Trifecta's game plan, and they paid the ultimate price. This 4 for nothing, I think, at 7.5 minutes, was basically the game.
Yeah. It actually was, and especially because you have a Guardian in the jungle who you're not getting that gank potential that you have with a Warrior, even an Assassin, and you're not doing that damage outright. And having Cherryo do so much damage in those fights and control them at the same exact time was exactly what they needed with that draft.
And I'm glad you brought up Cherryo here, Ron, because Cherryo, this Athena, man, it's been getting a band away from him all week long. Cherryo pulls it out in the biggest game of the tournament so far, and he looks lights out on it, Ron.
He definitely looks lights out on it, and I would like to see how that game goes with Nox, because they never ever lose with Athena Nox. I'm pretty sure they're undefeated with Athena Nox. So if they don't ban that in the second ban phase, maybe they pick that and the game goes entirely different, because Dardez on that Fafnir was so tanky and just unmanageable.
And it seemed that Trifecta honestly just casually forgot about the Athena. They were more concerned about the Kumbhakarna, and for good reason, obviously controlling a lot of space. But if you're going to pick a god like Hou-Yi that could just jump over that Kumbhakarna ult anyway, it wouldn't be a bad idea to just allow that Kumbhakarna to go through. You know, the Hou-Yi for Snoopy is a good idea because he's the best tank killer, right? With Mark of the Golden Crow just constantly doing more damage. But it didn't really pan out for him because every single time he dropped the Suns, the rest of Elevate just ignored it and kept moving forward anyway.
And that bodes very well for Elevate, especially going into Worlds, because whenever you ban AMC Hou-Yi or something like that from them, they have an Anhur, they have an Ullr to pull out. So then you have to decide to focus on either Cherryo or DeathPanter, and that's a very stressful pick ban.
Yeah, this is really a big sort of flex game for them to really show that even when everyone knows it, because like we said all weekend long, they're playing with their cards face up. Everyone knows what they want to do, and even when you know it's just too deep, we're just too good at it, you can't ban us out. And that's what I wanted to say here. It felt like Trifecta really knew what they wanted to do in picks and bans. They got almost exactly what they wanted, and they just couldn't execute the composition.
The problem with Cynosure playing this Odin is not his traditional pick, right? Odin is something that he used to run in the console scene quite often, but here at the PC side of things, he's been very successful with Naja, Serket, a lot of these assassin picks, straying away from it here at Super Regionals, a little unorthodox.
A little bit unorthodox and a bit of a weird selection, especially earlier with the Thor and the Guardian. And Thor from behind, like Mass Sight on the desk, is very, very rough, and they saw that firsthand.
And I want to talk a little bit here, too, about what this means for Elevate. I mean, they go through the group stages. They end up 4-1. And if you're 4-1 and the only game you drop the whole time is up against Energy, who look pretty good to me, then I think you got to be feeling good about yourself, totally.
And don't forget, Elevate actually almost beat Obey Alliance, too,
That's
in the
true.
semifinals. They took the distance there in 5 games. It was a little bit quicker than most of the other games in game number 5 as they strayed away from their double 100 triple Guardian composition. So I'm expecting them to still rely on the strategy heading into Worlds.
And it's fine that I say it's fine that DeathPanter didn't look like himself on the mages, because the hunters are a huge god pool. That's not really a big deal. And whenever you can't position yourself on a mage the exact same way as a hunter, especially with an escape, his Raijin, his Scylla, they were okay. Like his Scylla was way worse than okay. But otherwise, you know, you have that and you have so much to do, and then They didn't do that against Obey. Those 2 games that they lost that were very rough with the mages. Obey, I'm very curious to see if they knew going in that they had that Anhur pick, if they had another hunter in the wings. And if they did that, I'm pretty sure they could have beaten Obey.
If they had known about it, that's something they could have definitely done. But I wanted to point something out here. I mean, we heard a little bit earlier that Elevate, they might be the dark horse going into HRX. I don't know how true that is, Tolly. I mean, based on what we've seen from them here this weekend, they look like they're right up there with Obey, with the rest of this squad over there in EU.
With strategies like this, it doesn't surprise me that Cherryo finally finds himself at Worlds.
Oh,
the
yeah.
way he played also last year at Super Regionals with the Sanguine Esports banner, he was able to bring a lot of surprise factors against his opposition, and not much has changed here since he's made this transition for Elevate.
I'm very happy that Cherryo finally got to Worlds, because everybody knows that Cherryo is a Lanimal, and he knows that too. So whenever he loses on land, he's probably super pissed, because Cherryo usually performs super well, and Cherryo, especially this season, has done super well. And going into this year, you know, they have DeathPanter, and they don't have new lists anymore, so people write them off even at the beginning of the season.
Cherryo was just popping off this game.
Oh,
on the
yeah.
Athena. There was so many instances where he would take these weird, 1v2, 1v3 fights, and then he would just look for the taunt afterwards, helping Jermain find a kill here onto Aror there. And even after that clip was over, actually, he was chasing Hurriwind and just standing his ground, pressing that VET. And honestly, there's nothing more than that Hurriwind hates. It's just anyone that just spam taunts him.
And he also had double taunts as Athena. He, like you said, he was spamming the VET, literally just looking at the other players and saying, hey, I'm pretty sure we're going to win. So, you have to surrender at 20. Let me know what you guys are going to do in regards to that. I'm right here. I'm just going to wait. And they crushed them.
Yeah, it was in a really impressive match there from Cherryo in particular, but the whole Elevate squad made that work. Let's go ahead and take a look one more time, though, at those standings, see how everything shaped out. Up there at the very top, Energy undefeated through the group stages, but Elevate not far behind, sitting at 4-1.
Only losing to Energy Esports. Space Station were really hoping that Trifecta would find the win against Elevate to force that 3-way tie.
Yeah, and it's just too bad because Space Station, you saw it on there, they kind of did everything that was in their control to be able to do this day, but they still couldn't quite make it. And if you couldn't quite make it to HRX. Hey, see that? Totally, yeah, that's good.
That's pretty
good.
good.
If you couldn't quite make it there to HRX, then we still got another way to help y'all get that one taken care of too. Head out to one of those Coke theaters where you'll actually be able to watch with some friends.
If I could just interrupt you here. Mike actually, the other day, he did mention that Ratatoskr was behind the Fenrir, but he did not say that to the left of them was Hell and to the right was Thor. I'm not exactly sure who was on the far right. You know, that's something that I'll have to go back and look and maybe review a VOD. But when it comes to that, Ratatoskr was on the Fenrir and Mike was 100% correct.
No, that sounds like important analysis to me, Ron. Make sure that you get right on that one. In fact, if you spend all next week working on that far away from me, that'd be great. That'd be excellent, Ron, if you just worked on that far away from me. But we actually still got a really cool skin sale going on for you here right now, too. Take a look at some of these past champion skins like the Cogsilla, the Energy Chronos, as well as that Epsilon. Some really great skins to pick up, and this is not something you're able to do all the time.
No, not at all. And I think at Elevate, they would definitely be picking, what is this? What would you assume? Kumbhakarna, Artio, or Athena if Elevate win HRX?
Oh, if Elevate do it, then probably Athena, right? Yeah, I think Cherryo's Athena.
I mean, Artio doesn't have a team skin yet, so that might be the first.
They might do that, but either way, tomorrow is going to be the big day that we're going to coming up here next. Oh, remember those teams that played forever ago, it feels like? Obey and Rival, as well as Unite and Luminosity, where they're going to be squaring off in the regional finals, so we can see basically just for seeding. Now, it is going to be daylight saving, so things are going to start a little bit later than normal. If you're over there in EU, we're going to be backing it up, so just make sure you're aware that it might be an hour later, but we got some really great games going for you. Even better than that, though, Tolly, Ron, we actually got Cherryo standing by here for us and Tom with the interview.
Yes.
Hey, thanks a lot, guys. As you said, it's Tom Battinger standing here with Cherryo.
Yeah.
First of all, before we do this interview, congratulations, man.
Thank you.
You made it to Worlds. It's been a long time in the making.
Yeah.
I mean, you've been doing this for 3 years now, right?
Two times I failed, and finally I'm here.
And you did so in fantastic. Come a little closer. You did so in fantastic fashion. I mean, you and Elevate, you figured out what makes you guys work, and you succeeded with it. How exactly did you guys figure that out?
Well, we were losing a lot of scrims. I think we had maybe worse than Obey, which is something not to be proud of. But I was like, what do we do? We're not winning. The gods I was playing the whole season was just not working. Like, I was playing a lot of assassins, warriors. I was trying to like expand, and then I just don't like that playstyle. I don't like waiting for something to happen and then go in. I want to be the one going in, have the team behind me, lead the team, and I couldn't do that with assassins. So I was just like, I'll just bring them back. I'll play them again, and it worked fine.
Yeah, I mean, meta or not meta,
Yeah.
you feel comfortable and it's working.
I was just like, oh, I'm a one-trick pony. I'm so bad. I can only play Guardians. I thought like, I'll show them I can do it, but then it's just not working. I don't really care.
Yeah, just embrace it. And,
Yeah.
you know, that's actually, I'm glad that you brought up the one-trick pony thing, because you guys have brought out pretty much the same strategy time and time again, and when you deviated from it, y'all didn't do too well. But you stuck to the Guardians, you stuck to the Hunters, and you did strong. And at this point, everybody knows it's coming, and you're still able to win.
I feel like because of this, like super regionals, you don't really have that much time to adapt. Like we play on Thursday, everyone saw it, and we play the next day. You don't, like, yeah, thing is, even if you have a strat against it, you don't really know if it works. It's just theoretically it should work, but it never really works like that. So yeah, for Worlds, everyone will have time. Maybe they'll like NA will ask like other NA teams to practice it a bit, maybe so they get more practice against the Guardians. But I don't really care. I think we'll just play our own game, and it shouldn't really matter.
Yeah, I think that last game was really impressive, and I said on the commentary, I said it was important for me because you guys have been playing your strategy and doing well, but that last game, you stomped. I mean, you guys destroyed.
For once, yeah. First time we ever stomped.
Right, and where do you think that came from?
I think a bit Trifecta tilting, trying to snowball the lead really hard and just fighting a really bad fight. Then we just got a blue speed small camps. It's just the game opened from there. It was over as soon as that speed fight, like triple taunt into like Artio damage and Zeus. Like 4 people die at like 6 or 7 minutes. Yeah, the game is just it's over.
Yeah, I mean, you did a lot of the heavy lifting as well, and you know the common thread, if you ask the fans, the analysts, even the players here, you know, they say Cherryo is the monster on LAN. What's different about LAN?
I think I just have more time to prepare for the LAN. I think about strats, think about what the other team is going to play against. Because like in SPL, you don't really, you don't really prepare that much. You just kind of play and hope for the best. That's at least what we did. We don't take scrim seriously. We just play. And well, when we made it Super Regionals, everyone was a bit, almost everyone was a bit like excited.
Yeah.
And then I think looking forward to Worlds will even be better. We'll have more strats, more cheese if people want to call it that, and we'll be ready.
Well, I won't be calling it cheese anytime soon. It's way too full-bodied for that. One of my last questions, actually, Elevate, you guys have not been #1 for the season, or 2 or 3.
It's fine.
It's kind of the first time you guys are on top. Did you expect to make Worlds?
Did I or the team?
Both.
Well, I thought I would make Worlds. I don't think the team thought I was trolling a bit. Like, maybe when we got here, when we played the first game, maybe everyone was like, yeah, we're going to make Worlds. But before that, I definitely thought we'd make Worlds the whole time.
It's that confidence. That confidence absolutely helps you, I think.
To. If I don't, like, what are we going to do? Just might as well not play.
I like that answer. And then I'm going to give you a real easy one. How's it feel going to Worlds, Cherryo?
I don't really know. I can't explain it. I'm just happy.
Yeah, man.
In the simplest form, I'm just happy.
As you should. Before we let you go, is there anything you'd like to say to the people at home?
Well, thanks to, if I have any fans, thanks to all of them. Thanks for supporting our team. Thanks to the players. Everyone really played well. I don't really like taking all the credit. I really think everyone just performed really well, the whole LAN. That's it. Thanks for a great LAN. It was actually fun to play and watch.
Again, congratulations, Cherryo, the jungler of choice for Elevate. It's been a long time coming, years in the making, and you finally made it to Worlds. Congratulations one more time. Join us tomorrow for the conclusion of Super Regionals, where we see the best of the best battle it out for seeding. I'm Tom Banninger. That's Cherryo. You guys have been fantastic, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Kumbhakarna!